to the water where my soul can be satisfied. Your love is overflowing within me and it won't run dry. There's no limit to your promise. Jesus, you have done it all for me. Jesus, you have done it all for me. There is healing in the water with a love that flows so deep. Wash over me, wash over me. Forgiveness in the water with a love that flows so deep. Wash over me. Salvation in the water with a love that flows so deep. Wash over me, wash over me. Grace comes like a wave crashing over me. Grace comes like a wave crashing over and over and over. Grace comes like a wave crashing over me. Grace comes like a wave crashing over and over and over. Let's give it up for Jesus this morning.
You guys can have a seat. We're giving it away, away. We're giving it up to go your way. We're giving it away, away. We're giving it up to go your way. In the Father, there is freedom, there
Hey guys, you need to give yourselves a round of applause because you made that video possible. So give yourselves a big round of applause. You guys have been awesome this week. You know, I'm kind of tired though. It's been a long week, and while it was amazing, I get a little lazy in the mornings. So breakfast this morning is going to be pretty low key, but anybody is going to have a chance to win. You know, I'm really tired because my friends from lacrosse took me out. They took me out to Sonic last night. I think Minnesota is tired because they've been looking for Chaz's chapstick all week. They haven't found it. I think Lehigh has been trying to make a chant throughout the week. They created one. But hey, I want to hear what has happened this week. So if this fits your description of the week, I need you to scream real loud. And if I could get some house lights so I can see some people in the back, I need to know if you initiated with an elderly person this week in a conversation. Can you stand up, make some noise? I see a pink shirt, a girl in a pink shirt, right? Yes. Well, do you want breakfast? Come on. If you initiated with an international student, yeah, right there in the green shirt. If you initiated with a high schooler, yeah, the girl right here, 2 hands, yeah, you. And then now here's the crazy thing. I don't know, did anyone watch the news this morning? There was a mermaid spotted on the beach this week. Who initiated with a mermaid this week? My man way in the back? You already had breakfast. Give somebody else a chance. Yes, you initiated with a mermaid? She is going to get to tell her. Yeah, you, come on. Hey, everybody cheer for her for initiating with someone extremely different than her, much more cross-cultural. Hey, guys, why don't you grab a seat? Come right over here, grab a seat. Did I pick 4 girls? That was unplanned. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, guys. It just happened. Hey, who initiated with a mermaid? Will you tell us about that mermaid experience?
Actually initiated with a mermaid.
You didn't initiate with a mermaid? There was one. There was one. Well, she's going to get breakfast for her volunteering even though you didn't tell the truth. That's okay. That's okay. Hey, do y'all like Pop-Tarts? Some of you do. Do y'all like Pop-Tarts? Yeah? This morning, breakfast is going to be super basic. I've got brown sugar and wild berry Pop-Tarts with ice cream and syrup. Doesn't that sound delicious? So we've got coffee and orange juice. Enjoy your breakfast, you guys. I hope that it tastes delicious. And thanks for all of the conversations that you initiated this week. And thank you for all the conversations that you initiated this week. So some crazy things happened. I don't know if you guys, how many of you were active on social media this week? Yeah, a good bit of you? Apparently I have a doppelganger, and I want to meet him. So can you come up wherever my doppelganger is? Can you come up? Does this guy look like me? Hold on. I think so. Hey, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hey guys. I'm Matt. I'm from New York City. I just want to thank you guys all for an awesome week. Let me be your MC. Also want to give a shout out to my people from lacrosse. My buddy Joel proposed to his girlfriend today, so let's go.
Wow.
Hey, we got a few announcements though before you leave. Just so you know, all of it is on the app. So if you ever don't know, just look on the app. But just in case, we have some stuff. So there will be a clean linen bag dropped off at your villa today. Don't touch it. It's not yours. It's for the next group. Yeah, leave it there. So anyone who leaves before 9 a.m. tomorrow, you have to let the office know that you're leaving so they can get the rooms ready for the next group. Also, you guys have to leave before 10 a.m. tomorrow. We love you, but you got to get out of here for the next group coming in. So, again, anything you need to know is on the app. Just want to thank you for an awesome week. So,
wow. Hey, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. What's your real name?
My real name's Austin.
Austin. So you're not actually Matt.
No, my name's not actually Matt.
Okay. Was anybody confused? They thought for a minute he was me? This one guy right here, he was real confused. He was like, yeah, I didn't know any different. Hey, thank you so much, dude.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys know this, but to show the extremes that people believe he was my doppelganger, they actually went to Walmart and dyed his beard last night so that he would look more like me. I'm pretty impressed by that. Hey, real quick, another thing about checking out. To the young lady who dropped off a check at the office this morning, you know who you are, but none of us do. So if you could go back to the office, they've got some questions. So if you dropped off a check, that's all I know. You need to go back to the office, and they've got some info for you. Speaking of the office, they also have T-shirts for sale. So if you didn't get a T-shirt, please, please, please stop by and pick up a T-shirt that represents your week here. Guys, I mentioned the crazy picture contest. It's time to see who those winners are. So let's take a look at the videos of your crazy pictures and see who won. Hey, congratulations to the winners. Everybody give Lehigh a hand. Congratulations. Hey, let me get 2 volunteers from Lehigh. We got 2 spike ball sets to give you guys. Let me get 2 of you guys. I got them over here. You go enjoy your Pop-Tarts. There you go. Congratulations. One more time. Good job, you guys. Hey, do not forget, if you haven't picked up your pictures from Dave the Picture Guy, he will be right out at the entrance, so make sure you pick up your pictures. This is the last morning, so it's the last chance you'll have to pick up your campus pictures, so make sure you grab those. Guys, I want to celebrate what God has done by reading the stats, the form from this week, so we can all celebrate that together. This week, there were 4,890 digital conversations initiated, and 1,144 face-to-face conversations for a total of 6,034 conversations that you guys initiated. Give yourselves a round of applause for that. Of that, there were 122 total decisions for people to follow Christ. Praise God. And then from all of the digital outreach, for appointments that you've set up going back home, there were 248 appointments that are going to be had when you get back home. So awesome for that. Guys, God's done a lot this week. He has done so much in showing us that people are ready to know Him if we would be willing to take the initiative. We've seen God speak to us through Moses, through Bob, through Jill. And lastly, we're going to get to hear one more time from Candace. So will you all open your hearts this morning and welcome Candace back to the stage.
Thank you. All right. Okay, I'm just, you hate it when people do that, but at some point. Now, I know there's been a few creative dates this week. Seen it on Facebook. Congratulations, guys. Way to go. And gals, you can also do this. When I was on stint, that's 1 year overseas, my team decided to have a creative date, and we decided to go ride elephants. I know, pretty creative. And so we got to the place where you ride elephants, and I'm with my co-team leader, Dave, and he says, let's pick that one. And it's like this gigantic, it's the only one that has a ladder up to the chair. And I'm like, just pick that one. And he's like, no, that's a baby elephant. That's like Dumbo. And I'm like, but that one is big. And he goes, we're taking that one. I'm like, fine, we'll take that one. So, I climb myself up into this elephant chair. And if you've never ridden an elephant, so there's like a chair on the back of the elephant, and then there's an elephant driver that sits on the head of the elephant and kind of pats it a little bit. It's a little bit like pony rides, if you've done a pony ride, because there really is trunk to butt as you're walking down, with these big elephants. So we get on the elephant, and there's teammates in front of us, there's teammates behind us, and we're like, okay, this is going to be awesome. And so I'm on this gigantic elephant, and it takes its first step, and it just lets it rip. I mean, as loud as a jet engine. And at that point, you have a choice to make. Do you acknowledge it? You've all been there. You're like, that's what my niece did when she came to the office with me a couple of weeks ago. She's 5, and we're sitting in this meeting, and she has a little toot. And we're all sitting there like, and here's this little 5-year-old. And she points at the girl next door. And I'm like, awesome. At 5, you point. Not me. And we're like, it was a 5-year-old too. We all heard it. And so this elephant just loud. And I start laughing. And I'm like, what can I do? And so, but it would have been okay if it was one. But it was every single step. And it got louder and louder. And pretty soon, I look behind me, and I'm laughing, and I look at the elephant driver behind me, and he has pulled up his scarf over his face, like this. And I'm like, now we have a blind elephant driver, and my teammates are like, make it stop. And I'm like, well, stop farting. What do you say to an elephant, And I'm like, sorry. And they're like, we're engulfed back here. We are just engulfed. And they're like this, and the elephant driver at that point leaps off the elephant and runs into the bush. And I'm like, any of you want to get on the head of the elephant? And we're like, stop, make it stop. And it just kept farting. And at this point, I have tears coming down my face. And Dave has tears coming down his face. And we're laughing so hard until the elephant in front of us has explosive diarrhea. Yeah. True story. I am covered. Yeah. And my teammates behind me are like, who's laughing now? And I'm like, I guess we're all going back to campus. And just like that was a distraction from my laughter. We'll all be hit with different distractions as we get back. Hopefully nothing as stinky and smelly as that was. But we've been a little bit protected here on the beach. We've been able to focus on our walks with the Lord. Moses started us, and he invited us to come and to take, as we looked in Matthew, to come to Christ. We realize the importance of the morning, the intensity of the moment, the isolation, the intent, and the impact as we pray. Nick Hall with Paul's asked us to identify 5 people that we're going to pray for. And we were able to write it on the board. We're going to go and talk with those people. And he challenged us to be evangelists. I love when he was talking about when he's riding the bike. Hey, do you know God? Because he's an evangelist, and he challenged us to be evangelists. Bob and Jill have continually challenged us to listen to our friends and to understand where they're coming from. And even last night, how many of us are glad that Bob made it the big break? You know, he got here, and he married Jill, not the other girl, you know, and so that was a good decision on his part as well. Not that I know the other girl, but look at those two together. They're a great team. And so we've been learning how to walk with God. And I've invited us to sit in humility, just like the leper, and to come to Christ with these different areas of our lives where we need healing and to keep going. But we're all going to be boarding buses or vans or cars as we go back. And the distractions will come a little bit like Doug in Up, squirrel, you know? Just, you know, they're there. They're there. The squirrels are there. And our lives will be filled with these distractions. And I'm just guessing that some of you have some homework waiting for you. Yeah? A book you were maybe planning on reading while you were here? A paper that was maybe supposed to be written? Yeah. You're going back to those things. Some of you are going back to relationships that you realized while you were here, something needs to change in those relationships. And I've been just thrilled as people have shared about talking with their families and going back and talking with their dads and their sisters. And so we'll go back into these things, and we need to remind ourselves how to stay focused and how to stay true to who Christ says we are in this whole area of following Christ when stuff will come flying. Peter, if you remember when Moses said, Peter, step out of the boat, he was fine till he saw the wind. And so, you know, he got distracted and he took his eyes off of Christ. So this morning I want us to focus on Peter. We're going to look in Mark, and then we're going to be a little bit of time in John. But one of my favorite disciples is Peter. Peter was kind of a hothead, and I can be a hothead. You should see me getting on the freeway. And so it is an acceleration lane. Why do people come to a stop at the end of that? It is a baffling question, isn't it? I'm just like, no, accelerate. Let's go. I actually hate the zipper, though. I end up stopped in every lane of the freeway. I'm like, don't stop. Keep going. But it's that sort of thing as we walk with Christ, we learn some things about him. And so Peter was kind of a hothead, and he also became very, very bold. And so let's start in Mark 1. Verses 16 through 18. And this was the initial call to Peter. Now, I'm sure Peter had heard of Jesus, maybe even had some conversations with him. But here it says, Jesus is calling the first disciples. Passing along on the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, just so you know, it goes to that, cast a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And Jesus said to them, follow me, and I will make you become fishers of men. And immediately they left their nets and followed him. And so they were out there fishing. And David Platt, in his book Radical, he describes it like this. He said it was a clear day. The two brothers are out there on the sea and they're fishing. Now, I don't know about you. I'm not a fisher woman. My dad had 3 girls, much to his dismay. And he was determined one of us would become a fisher person. And so somehow I got elected. And I loved it. He would put the bait on there. He would take the fish off if I caught a fish. But I remember the day came when he said, okay, Candace, today you bait your own hook. And that was my last day of fishing. And so, no, that's not happening. But these guys loved fishing. They were sons of fishermen. They were grandsons of fishermen. And they're out there on the sea. And Jesus says, come and follow me. And so they're like, we got a good day. Here's all these fish. We're going to celebrate this day. It's just a great day. And all of a sudden they go, did you hear that? And they kind of shield their eyes and they look from the sea to the shore. And did he say, follow me? And immediately, it says immediately, they left their nets and followed him. Those 2 words, follow me, changed their lives in the same way that they change our lives. So immediately they left their nets. They left their father sitting in the boat. I can't even imagine what happened there. You know, they abandoned their families and their friends, and they began to follow Christ. Ultimately, Christ was asking them to abandon themselves, the uncertainty, to go for uncertainty rather than safety. For danger, their lives would be threatened multiple times. He was asking them to walk towards danger. He was walking them towards self-denial rather than self-fulfillment. As he said, "Follow me." With those two words, Jesus invited them on an adventure, the greatest adventure in living for him. Follow me was that first call, and follow me is our call. How do we follow Christ? Chris Tomlin has a song, "I Will Follow." Now, if you were to drive alongside me on the freeway, if I'm not shaking my fist at someone, I'm singing. And I sing really loudly in my car to Christian radio. I love Christian radio. I do. I love Christian radio. And so I really do. And so this song might come on, and it says, "Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Where you move, I'll move. I will follow. All your ways are good. All your ways are sure. I will trust in you alone. Higher by my side, high above my life, I will trust in you alone. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Where you move, I'll move. I will follow you. Who you love, I'll love. How you serve, I'll serve. In this life I lose, I will follow you. I will follow you." And it's easy to sing along with that song, but it's not so easy to follow Christ because he asks us to do so many things. Being a follower is hard. Flip over to Matthew 8. Verses 27 and following. "And Jesus went with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. And on the way, he asked his disciples, 'Who do people say that I am?' And they said, 'Some say John the Baptist, and others say Elijah, and others say yet the prophets.' And he asked them, 'But who do you say that I am?' And Peter answered, 'You are the Christ.' And he strictly charged them to tell no one about him." We had a speaker at our winter conference, Kempton Turner, and he was talking about this passage. And he said, you can imagine that day. They're saying, "Well, who do people say I am?" Some say this, some say this. "But who do you say?" And Peter, who I love, Peter says, "You are the Christ." And he goes, imagine these guys, because Jesus is like, "You're right, Peter. I am the Christ." And he's like, there's fist bumps all around, high fives, low fives. "You are right, Peter. You've got it right." In the book of Matthew, it goes on to say in the same story, it says, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter. On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and what you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. What you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." And so this idea of, Peter, you got it right. You got it right. I am the Christ. I am the Christ. And then if you keep reading here in verses 34 and following, 31 and following, he's begin teaching them about the things he's going to suffer and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests. And he'll be killed, and on the third day he'll rise again. So he begins telling them a different story, because the disciples were hoping for an earthly kingdom, that I'm following you, and you're going to change things, and I'm coming with you into this earthly kingdom. And Jesus said, no. In fact, I came to die. I came to die. They're going to kill me. But on the third day, I'm going to rise again. And Peter, at this point, takes Jesus aside. Can you imagine? Bro, got a word for you. That's not the way it's going to happen. No, you're going to go into Jerusalem, and you're going to take over. You are going to be king, and we're going to follow you. And Jesus says this to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, Satan." That was a long way from high fives, "You are the rock," to a rebuke. That quickly. And then he says, "You're not setting your mind on things of God, but on things of man." David Platt said this, We've redefined Christianity. We've given in to the dangerous temptation to take the Jesus of the Bible and twist him into a version of Jesus we're more comfortable with. It's a Jesus who's okay with materialism. He's fine with nominal devotion that doesn't require any sacrifice. He's pleased with a brand of faith that requires attendance only at Sunday, or kind of in our world, our weekly meeting, but no real commitment in day-to-day life. We redefine who he is, and we need to follow the real Jesus. And if you keep reading, Jesus tells us how to do that in verse 34. And he said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Let them deny themselves, take up his cross, and follow me. Not to deny things to myself, but to deny me to myself. To deny me to myself and pick up my cross and follow him. Author Lisa Bevere did a single word search in Google on the word cross. And she came up with over 500 words, and she wrote it like this. All the things that are true of what happened at the cross. At the cross, Christ purchased us, gave us freedom, mercy, hope, faith, forgiveness, salvation, healing. Those things were purchased for us on the cross. And this is the cross we pick up. We pick up that element of the cross. These things are true of us in Christ. The disciples knew when Christ said, pick up your cross, they knew exactly what Christ was talking about. Because daily they might see criminals walking through the street carrying their cross. They saw that and they realized, okay, Christ is asking me to die, to walk that road to death, death to self, and to follow him. The cross we carry is all that Christ did for us. Think about your life. Think about all the things that Christ has done for you. The cross we carry is this gospel we bring when we're out on the beach, or as Bob reminded us last night, when we get back to our campuses and back to our families. It's our gospel witness, the cross we carry, all that Christ did for us. So Jesus told Peter how to walk with him. When the distractions come, deny yourself. It simply means saying no to yourself and yes to God. It's not talking about asceticism or a severe form of self-discipline or forgoing of earthly possessions, not eating certain foods, ignoring the world. To say it differently is to humbly submit ourselves to the will of God. It's going through life, repeating the same words that Jesus taught us in the Lord's Prayer. Not my will, but your will be done as we walk with Christ here. It's instead of getting angry, instead of shaking my fist at the driver, going, I don't know what's going on in their life, but I'm going to pray for them. It's just the opposite of what I want to do. It's forgiving someone when they've hurt your feelings. It's forgiving our enemies. It's forgiving our parents for not being the parents we wanted them to be. It's loving and choosing to be kind and compassionate to one another when everything within you wants to throttle them. How can I be loving and compassionate? Because that's what Jesus asked me to do. It means to deny myself, to submit myself to God's will and follow Christ. You would have hoped at this point Peter got it. But it was just the beginning of him learning about how self-reliant he was in following Christ. It gets a little worse before it gets better. Flip over to chapter 14. So Jesus in 26 and following, Jesus saying, you all are going to fall away. When they come and get me, you all are going to fall away. But I'm going to meet you in Galilee. And Peter says, even though they all fall away, I will not. And Jesus said to him, Truly, I tell you, this very night, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. But Peter said emphatically, if I must die with you, I will not deny you. And they all said the same thing. Just go down to verse 66. They've come and they've arrested Christ. Peter's following at a distance. And he's right there in the courtyard, and Christ is in the courtyard. And as Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came. And seeing Peter warming himself, she looked at him and said, you also were with the Nazarene Jesus. But he denied it. He said, I neither know nor understand what you mean. And he went into the gateway, and the rooster crowed. And the servant girl saw him and began again to say to the bystanders, this man was one of them. But again, he denied it. And after a little while, the bystander again said to Peter, certainly you're one of them, for you're a Galilean. And he began to invoke a curse on himself and to swear, I don't know this man you're speaking of. And immediately the rooster crowed a second time, and Peter remembered how Jesus said to him, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. And he broke down and he wept. Self-reliant. I won't deny you. And Jesus said, but you will. We have to keep our dependence on Christ. If we were to keep reading in Mark, we'll see that Jesus was crucified. Mary went to the tomb. And the first person, when she went to the tomb, when she went there and saw it was empty, the first person she wanted to tell was Peter. Peter, he's not there. She runs and she goes to the disciples and she finds Peter and she finds John. And she said, he's not there. And hope begins to beat in Peter's chest. And they say that John and Peter are running and John runs faster. But John stops at the door of the tomb and Peter just busts in and it's empty. And this hope begins beating louder. He's risen. I get to talk to him. I get to say, I'm so sorry. I want to follow you. I get to see him again. And he does get to see him again. Flip over to John 21. At this point, Jesus has now been risen. He's in the 40 days after his crucifixion before he's taken to heaven. Some scholars say that 9 different times Jesus has appeared to the disciples at this point. But still, you've got here in John 21, he revealed himself again to disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. He revealed himself in this way. But before he reveals himself, Simon, and Thomas, Nathanael, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples were together. And Simon Peter says to them, I'm going fishing. Simon goes right back to the familiar. Goes right back to the familiar. Not only does he go back, he takes the guys with him. They're like, we'll go with you. And they went out into the boat that night and they caught nothing. And just as day was breaking, Jesus stood on the shore, and the disciples did not know yet that it was Jesus. And Jesus said, children, have you no fish? And they answered, no. And he said, cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some. Now, if you were reading through the Gospels, you'll realize this happened before. And at that moment, when they cast the net, and there's so many fish in there that they can't even haul it in, the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, it's the Lord. It's the Lord. And at that point, Peter not only is still living in the 3 denials, now he's out fishing again. The initial call to drop your net, no longer will you be fishing for fish, but you'll be fishing for men. He's back there with his net in his hand. And Peter says, what? And I don't know what he's dressed like, but it says he took the time to put on a garment. And so he puts on a garment because he was stripped for work, and he throws himself into the sea. He cannot wait to get to Jesus. Just throws himself into the sea and gets there. The other disciples are coming in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, and when they get out of the boat, there's a charcoal fire in place with fish laid out on it and bread. He says, bring some of the fish you've just caught. And so Simon Peter went aboard and hauled a net ashore full of large fish, 153 of them. There's a little Bible homework for you. Sometime figure out why there was 153. I'm not telling you. And although there were so many, the net was not torn. And Jesus said, "Come and have some breakfast." None of them dared to ask, "Who are you?" They all knew it was the Lord. And Jesus came and took bread and gave it to them with some of the fish. Now it was the third time that Jesus was revealed to the disciple after he was raised from the dead. For this group of disciples, 9 different appearances before that. And when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" As he points at the fish. He says, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you. Feed my lambs." And he says to him a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And he says, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you. Tend my sheep." And he said to him a third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And Peter was grieved because he said to him a third time, "Do you love me?" And he said, "Lord, you know everything. You know I love you." And he says, "Feed my sheep." 3 denials, 3 challenges. Because Jesus is a God who restores. He didn't let Peter live in this denial, nor did he let him live going back to fishing. But he gave him 3 challenges. Feed my sheep, tend my lambs. Feed my sheep. And then he goes on to tell him a little bit about how he will die. And I love this part about Peter. Peter turned and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved. I kind of have a feeling, just because he describes himself all that time, that John might have had some issues with the other guys. You know, remember, Jesus loves me, you know? And so here he is. He turns to see the disciples that Jesus loved following them. The disciples leaned back at him during the supper and said, "Lord, who is it who's going to betray you?" And when Peter saw him, he said to Jesus, "What about him? What about him?" Now, if I ever do get a tat, it's going to be that one. What about him? Because I tend to look at my Christian life a little bit as I'm following, like, I'm doing this, I'm trying this, but what about him? Now, I don't know if you know this. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all the Irish in the house. But the tattoo machine was invented by an Irishman in New York City. So there you go. But I don't like pain, so there will never be a tattoo on this body. Maybe henna, but not any needle, no needles. But if I did, it'd be right here. What about him? And on this side, it would be Jesus' word. Who is he to you? You follow me. As you read it right there, it says, no, you follow me. If he remains, what is that to you? You follow me. Each one of us have begun this relationship with Christ. And there might be some of you still in the room that haven't. And I pray that today will be your day of salvation. But all of us need to be in that position of being restored. We often go back to the familiar. We often go and pick back up that net. And Christ invites us again and again, as in this process of following him, to drop the net and follow him. Now, I want you to take out, if you're taking notes, I want you to start writing a few things on your notes. What are some of the distractions you know that are facing you? What are some of the things you're walking back into when you go back on campus? When you maybe even when you get on the bus, you're like, oh, I need to talk to so-and-so. I might have said something or done something, just to make sure that you are right with all people. What are some of those distractions? Start writing them on your page. Now, over the top of them, I want you to write, follow me. Follow me. What will it look like for you to follow Christ through those distractions? What will it look like for you to deny yourself and pick up your cross and follow him? Write follow me right over the top. Because that's the decision you need to make as we walk in to distractions. Peter wasn't at Big Break. You might have met a Peter, but not this one. He wasn't here, but he had Big Break experiences. He had experiences when he was out and he was talking to people and he was following Christ. But you know what? Just like I mess up, Peter messed up, you guys mess up, we have a choice. When we get distracted, when we lose our focus, even when we go back to fishing, to go back to Christ and be restored. God will not leave us there. God won't leave me in my mess. From the initial call to follow him to the final call, you follow me. God's pursuit of us, restoration of us, and call of us is certain. We get to follow him. But it's your choice to follow him. We live it out in community, but the choice is yours. Will you drop your nets? Will you no longer be fishers of fish, but become fishers and fisherwomen of men and women? That's the call that we have to follow him. The temptation is always there to go back. The temptation is always to pick up the familiar. What is the familiar? So if we find ourselves with a net in our hands, we need to drop it. If you see your friends with a net in their hands, say, hey, drop it. Drop the net. Let's help each other walk with Christ. And then the final words here, back in John 21. If it is my will that he remains until I come, what is that to you? You follow me. That's what's asked of us. To follow Christ. To pick up our cross daily. To deny ourselves and follow Christ. There's going to be a question that's going to come up on the screen. We want to give you a couple minutes just to think about it. And to think about how are you following Christ as you go back on campus. We all go back into a whirlwind. Where the wind is swirling around us and the temptation is to go back, to pick up the familiar, but we get to follow him. So take a moment and reflect on this question.
Let the king of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. 'Cause you are You are good, good, oh, you are good, good, oh. Let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are
You're never gonna let me down. 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 You're never gonna let me
when the night is holding on to me, God is holding on. Sing that out. When the night is holding on to me, God is holding on.
Guys, we've had a great week so far with this. Let's worship out to one last song and really praise His name on this one. Let's get those hands going. Heaven thundered, and the world was born. Life begins in it out here. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Freedom conquered, all our chains undone. Sin defeated, Jesus is overcome. Mercy triumphed in the third day dawn. Darkness was denied when the storm was gone. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Unstoppable things in your name, they shall be done. Let's make a sign to our friends. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God. Everybody sing out. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Thank you, guys. You can have a seat.
Hey, let's thank the band one more time. Woo! Thank you guys so much. And hey, can we also thank Candace one more time for reminding us to follow Jesus? Thank you, Candace. Guys, we have had a great week. I am so excited for what God is going to do on your campuses, in your lives, when we take everything that's happened this week. From Moses reminding us that our ministry stems from moments with the Father, with Bob and Jill reminding us of how to listen and how to ask good questions and how to be empowered by the Holy Spirit, and from Candace with the challenge to follow Jesus. What an awesome week. And guys, I'm so excited. I think God is going to do awesome things in your lives and on your campuses when you go back. So I really hope that you have a great, safe trip home. Enjoy your afternoon. Remember, checkout is mandatory by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Guys, thank you so much for this week. We will see you next year at Big Break 18.